Authorities in Uganda have suspended the work of at least 50 local NGOs for various reasons, including failure to register. Others have been suspended indefinitely for failing to submit audited books of accounts and annual returns to the National Bureau for NGOs. The Bureau, which is a department of the Internal Affairs Ministry, oversees the registration and operations of NGOs nationally. Several of the NGOs work on human rights and policy issues, while others are religious-founded and women's rights organizations. Those whose work has been suspended indefinitely include Chapter 4 Uganda, founded and led by human rights lawyer Nicholas Opio. Chapter 4 has not submitted its books of accounts and returns to the Bureau since 2016, according to the Bureau's statement. But Mr. Opio rejected the allegations, saying the organization has always complied with the registration requirements. To speak on this and more, we are now joined by our S24 reporter, Hilary Ayesiga, in Kampala, Uganda. Good evening, Hilary. Can you update us and give us an update on the background behind the suspension of the affected 9 government organizations?
Yes, according to the press release from government, what the government said is that these non-governmental organizations have not complied with the Non-Governmental Organization Act. This is the act which governs their operations. So according to the act, they are supposed to file their returns on time, the tax returns on time, and they're also supposed to reveal their source of funding. So according to government, 54 of these did not fulfill these requirements, so they had to be suspended. But also the government goes ahead to say there are those who were operating with expired permits. So government went ahead, after scrutinizing them, they decided to suspend these organizations. That's, according to government, that's what we have on paper now.
Now, is this mass suspension of the NGOs happening for the first time, or is there a special reason why the government is undertaking such a step?
Yeah, this is not the first time these organizations are facing a rough time with government. In the past, if I can take you back in the recent elections, there has been that a friction between government and these non-government organizations. The non-government organizations, they are engaged in promoting good governance, they are engaged in promoting democracy, they are engaged in fighting for the rights of individuals. So the government has been at loggerheads with these organizations. Mostly when you look at the recent elections, I can take you back. What happens is that the government decided to shut down social media platforms, saying most of the messages which were coming through these social media platforms were unverified. So these non-government organizations decided, because they wanted to promote transparency, they decided to go ahead and find other ways of text messaging, to find a way of creating a tally center so that they can receive information from these other rural tally centers to see that there is transparency. Now, this created a friction between government and them. And the government has always been saying, because of that, that they are sponsoring opposition. They are sponsoring opposition. So at that time, there was friction, and most of them were, I could tell you, some of their offices were ransacked. So they were attacked at night. They would find most of their computers destroyed and all that. So they have been having a challenge with government. They have been having a rough time for quite some time. So this is not new.
And now, don't you think this step will disturb, or rather will trample on the rights of humans, and they won't be free to enjoy their freedoms?
Yes, I know it is. What's happening is that for them, for government, for it says that their freedoms are supposed to be expressed within a certain context, that freedoms are not exclusive in this area. So the government says they are supposed to operate within the guidelines within the framework set by the government so that the government can operate and do what it was doing. But as you know, this is what has always happened in most elections. There has always been friction between the government and those who are trying to promote transparency and those who are trying to promote good governance. There has always been that friction.
Now, we also understand that one of the NGOs suspended is founded and led by human rights lawyer Nicholas Opio. What has he said about this turn of events?
Nicholas Opio has, on his Twitter account, he has written saying that he has always acted above board. He refutes allegations of doing something which is out of legality. So he has written saying he's going to write to the authorities, reminding them that he filed his tax returns. He filed the said documents way back in January. So he says, according to him, he has not been operating illegally, and he's going to write to them to remind them that this is not the issue why they are closing his organization called Chapter 4.
Now, from what you have gathered so far, was this exercise targeted at specific NGOs critical of the Ugandan government, or is this move political or anything?
Looking at this, to a certain extent, someone could say that has been the case. Because if you look at the case of Nicholas Opio, this is the man, during the heated campaigns, he was arrested for money laundering. That is in respect, they were saying these are people, these are organizations who are sponsoring opposition candidates. So he was arrested on charges of money laundering and corruption. Those are charges which are still pending, which are still running. And then if you look at other organizations like Afiego, this is an organization which fights for the rights of people who have lost land, especially in Western Uganda, where oil projects are going on. So these are people who have been fighting for the rights of those people. There you're having a friction with government. And also this Afiego has been fighting for the issue of environmental degradation in that area, because they were saying some of these environmental impact assessment did not meet the required standard when they are going about the oil exploration projects. So when at that moment you are having a friction with government. So I would say some of these have been having that friction with government. So definitely some of them are targeted. When you look at CEDU is an organization which promotes good governance. This organization, as you do civic education, you are bound to get into a challenge with government. You are bound to cross path with government. So these organizations would say some of them have been targeted under the pretext of not complying with the NGOs Act.
Well, Hilary, thank you so much for your time and thank you for the update.